are a special village. How did it all start?
It started 1,000 years ago.
Yes? That was the first talk?
It's been a village for a long, long time. And people have been living here through Bronze Ages. We just found relics from that time. But more recently, the development starts about 30 years ago with a so-called eco-village which pops up here. These people had tried to get a foothold somewhere, and nobody wanted it because these
at the time
because these people were probably difficult or radical or communists or worse. And that was the beginning of a settlement here, which is still the eco-village.
And that was 30 years ago.
That's 30 years ago. And it's been a driving force ever since, because the people who actually came here were resourceful, had lots of ideas, had a conscious mind about what they were doing, what kind of lives they were going to live here. They built their own houses. They started also a small school. In those days, a small school, which has grown quite a bit since then. 120 students just now. They started a common hall, an assembly hall, and they also started a kindergarten. So with the railway station and the other three elements, we had quite a bit of a foundation for further development. But it was important that these people actually came here 30 years ago and started basic services, as it were.
And they did that because they wanted to.
They wanted to, and they couldn't find somewhere else. And it was an interesting discussion in the beginning. Some people locally were against this, but others thought this might be a revival of a small village that might have died off. So that was the beginning, which was difficult in many ways, and it took a while. The first 10 years, it was difficult. They were almost going bankrupt in the beginning. There were lots of difficulty. It was an uphill struggle in the beginning. But this has now turned into be a small part of the village, about half the village, which is now it's one of the most expensive places to buy a house. It's almost posh. It's been turned into an enclave, which in fact attracts very resourceful people. Also, perhaps a different sort from the ones that started this. So that's an interesting development, which starts off as sort of a bunch of misfits, and they end up with being
the thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's a place that's worth visiting. We have lots of people trying to find a place to live here. They want just to find a house and so on. So it's been one of these so-called warm zones, a hot zone, which is one of the few of three in Denmark, which actually is a rural area with a growing population. That doesn't happen anywhere else.
We will have a walk, a tour, and we will see different projects, but we are standing in front of one here.
Yeah.
Right? Can you tell me something about that?
Yeah, this is the project called the Bicycle, or in Danish, Cykel. And it's a project that tries to show a few ways out of the difficulties with mobility. So it's placed in the railway station, but it tries to talk to people about their needs in terms of transportation. So the question here is, do you actually need a whole car to move small things? And perhaps the answer to that is no. You might need an electric bicycle. Yeah. And some of these bicycles are little lorries, little carriers. And again, it's an attempt to show a way out, a sustainable way out of transportation issues. So that's one project, and it's linked with another project, which is a repair cafe, which in fact is a repairing unit where people can get a little bit of help and perhaps also learn to repair some of their old implements, their hair dryer, their vacuum cleaner.
Instead of throwing
it out and going to the dump.
Yeah.
So these
are sustainable.
Yeah, these are characteristic projects which are it's the kind of thing we'd like to do in Tour. And it also supports the idea of sustainability. Yeah.
And there you also see that you have different persons involved with some. You can't do it all yourself, so lots of other people are involved with some of the projects.
Yeah, we actually had a piece of research done on Tour, which is how many people are involved in voluntary work, different working groups and so on in Tour. And we're 356 people, and they measured that we are 70 people that are active in some respect in different working groups. And this is one of them.
Yes. Yeah, thanks.
Enough of that.